God. Going too fast. I'm taking 3.
I'm going for the St. Louis now.
Oh, no.
Son of a bitch.
You get your 2?
Yeah.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thotgor here, of course, and today we are going to take a look at a replay submitted by the Cannibal in his Bismark. And we'll also note on the enemy team some familiar faces. We've got Linwolf, Beerman, and Bezzy, just by coincidence. Yes, I know it has been a while since we have seen a video on the channel. I have been incredibly sick all week, yes. Today, being Saturday, is the first day that I'm actually able to pull myself out of bed without having, just fluids dripping and leaking from every orifice of my body. It's, oh god, it was terrible. Anyway, I think for like a few days there, I was averaging like 6 hours of just being awake. I was sleeping the other 18 hours. I had to take some time off from work. I haven't even touched ships since Monday. I haven't been able to do it. My head was just so crazy that I couldn't even look at like a computer screen or nothing like that because things would just start swirling around. But anyway, we're back, and we're gonna look at this replay now. This is one hell of a replay, I gotta say. It was, I just jumped into my inbox there in Gmail to take a look at some of the replays that had been submitted. I had clicked on this one because it was the most recent one. Took a look at the old team score there and decided that I had found the replay that we needed to take a look at today. Now, we'll probably take another look at a submitted replay tomorrow, because I'll need to play some ships to build up some more footage, because losing a whole week of recording is fairly devastating for the old footage stock, so I'll probably do that. But anyway, in the Bismark. Now, Bismark is one hell of a battleship, as we all know. She doesn't have, the most accurate main guns. They definitely hit very, very hard, but they're not the most accurate. But what the Bismark does have going for her is survivability. The Bismark is amazingly durable. She can take a whole bunch of damage. The secondary battery on the Bismark is, second to none. She has the best secondary battery that you're going to find at tier 8 for a battleship. It's really, really spectacular. And as well in this battle, unfortunately for the aircraft carriers, yeah, they're going to get shit on. The aircraft carriers are tier 6, and they find themselves in a tier 8 game. So it's not going to go very well for those players. But anyway, we see some enemy ships there in the background, right? We do see, I think Linwolf is in the North Carolina. We've got Beerman over there in the Mogami. And then Bezzy is in his Benson. Yeah, so we can see all three of them over there making their play. And in the meantime, we've got Cannibal's team more or less coming over here onto the west side, making their play over here, right? So it's a fairly similar situation that we see in a lot of battles where, if the two teams decide to stay together, most of the time they'll find themselves on the opposite side of the map, shooting at each other as the ranges slowly close, right? So that's essentially what's going on. We're taking a few pot shots off there at Linwolf right now, but Linwolf and Beerman just moved in behind some cover, so we're not going to be able to get too much off. Not going to be able to get any more shots off at them. We see this Miyoko off in the distance, an ARP Miyoko. We fire our shots off, and we'll just wait and see what happens for that poor Miyoko. Now, here's a pro tip for you Miyoko captains. Yeah, do not drive in a straight line. Just don't do it. 4 nice citadels there for Cannibal, and devastating strike. Obviously, the Miyoko's gone. There's just gone, so we don't have to worry about that player anymore. So fantastic. We see some more enemy ships off in the distance, and we'll take any shots that we can as we're continuing our push or our move over here towards the west side of the map, looking for the opportunity to push in, and as well assessing the enemy the whole time, right? Very important to do, making sure that we're taking a look around the map to see what the enemy is doing, where the enemy is going, and whether or not we're going to need to change our plans. We see Linwolf pop up once again in the old North Carolina, and behind him we have Beerman in the Mogami. Put some shots off into the North Carolina. Hopefully those will land, do a bit of damage, but we do see North Carolina has been engaged by some of our allies, so Linwolf did have to turn in and reduce the broadside. Luckily, that that was presented to Cannibal here. So now that it does kind of look like the majority of the enemy team, is going over there to the west, or at least to the west into the south, there's no real need for us to get or to the east and the south, sorry. There's no need for us to get all the way over onto the west side. At this point in time, right, we can stay kind of in the center of the map using whatever islands we have as cover to get as many shots off at the enemy as we possibly can. And that's exactly what Cannibal's doing at this point in time anyway. We do see that we are going to be, or that we are working over Cleveland off in the distance. That poor Cleveland. No, I mean, it wasn't it's not as tragic as the Miyoko, obviously, but I always feel bad for the tier 6s that find themselves in tier 8 games. It's not always the best situation to find yourself in, especially, when you're sailing in a straight line, very little cover around, things aren't going very well for this player at this point in time. But anyway, moving a little closer back to our base, we can see that we do have Linwolf over there in the North Carolina, fairly close in on us. We do have Bezzy right there in the Benson, so that's a bit of a threat, but keep in mind the Bismarck secondary battery, second to none, easily able to shred destroyers, easily able to do so. And then we do note Beerman there off in the distance. Now if we take a look around, we can see that the rest of the enemy team has more or less spread themselves, running from the east to the south and occupying the territory in between, and it's not really working out too well for them right now, right? Because what's happening is Cannibal's team is able to take full advantage of this and really spread out around the enemy team and kind of close in on this little quadrant of the map that the enemy is occupying. We see Bezzy coming out from around cover. It looks like he had got himself into a bit of trouble there with some of the other enemy ships. Wasn't able, or maybe wasn't aware that the Bismarck was here. Oh, but he sure is now. So we can see our secondary batteries, immediately going in and just shredding. We do have our main battery almost reloaded, but we're not going to need it. There we go. First kill, and is that our second kill? And we do get, it is our second kill, and we get ourselves close quarters expert on top of the devastating strike. So fantastic. We do see an enemy battleship there off in the distance. I believe it's in New Mexico, so we're going to launch some main battery shells at that player. We're going to turn into the torpedoes that Bezzy managed to launch off just before he died there. And we do note as well that Linwolf is very close to coming around the little headland here, right? In fact, it's just about to happen. So if we can get our main battery loaded and turn ever so slightly, we will hopefully be able to take down the North Carolina. So North Carolina is really close in. We fire all of our main batteries off at the North Carolina. One nice citadel should do it, and there we go. And Linwolf is gone, unfortunately. So now we are up to 3 kills, so that's not too bad at all. We do see the Mitsuki here as well. This poor Mitsuki fired all of its torpedoes, and all of the torpedoes missed. This is why I would really recommend when you're in the Mitsuki that if you're in a close-in situation like this, don't fire both your torpedo shots, or both your torpedo spreads at once. Save one. Shit can go down, and you will need it. Anyway, we managed to kill the Mitsuki. That is our 4th kill, so not too bad at all. We still have the Cleveland here to contend with. The Cleveland was, setting us on fire the entire time while we were trying to deal with the enemy Mitsuki, but the Cleveland is still close enough that our secondary battery is also able to engage. The maximum range on the secondary battery is, I believe, 10.4 kilometers on the Bismarck, somewhere in there, if you have all the upgrades, the flags, and the commander abilities and all that stuff, which is really phenomenal. I think the only other ship who can compare to that is the Yamato at tier 10. In terms of range for the secondary battery, I believe anyway. Correct me if I'm wrong, obviously. So we see the poor Cleveland there off the distance, just about to get the last few shots in here to finish the player off, and then basically we can, turn our bow to the south and continue to destroy whatever enemy ships we happen to come across. I mean, you can see it here, and we've seen it a lot so far as well. The amount of firepower that this Bismarck can put down range, in combination with the secondary battery, the main battery, is just phenomenal. So we get the kill on the Cleveland, and that ends up being our 5th kill for our Kraken. Fantastic. I mean, the battle is fairly, still young, I guess. Not too far into it, and we're already sitting on a Kraken, so this is not too bad at all. We see the enemy battleship here off in the distance, turning into us ever so slightly, so this is good. We're going to fire off our shells. Hopefully those will go in and end up doing a bunch of damage. Yeah, they did some. But you can see what with these salvos that are going out, what I had meant, or what I was saying at the beginning of the video here with the Bismarck. Her main battery just isn't as accurate as you might want them to be. She is more accurate than a Tirpitz, that's for sure, but not as accurate as some of the other battleships. But when the shells hit, they hit like a train and do a crap ton of damage, which is very, very nice. So we've been doing pretty good so far this battle, sitting on about 104,000 damage now. Our secondary battery is engaging another target. We have some more targets coming in, coming close on to us, specifically this Nagato that's about to come around the headland. So, things are looking up. Now with the Nagato, the Bismarck does have, good armor and very durable armor. But that Nagato missed the opportunity to actually get some meaningful shots into Cannibal here. Because what Cannibal is going to do now, which is the, really the correct thing to do in this situation, if you ever find yourself in the situation where this player isn't really paying attention, or at least is going faster than Cannibal. So what all Cannibal has to do is keep the Nagato on his bow, and the Nagato captain isn't going to have very good shots at Cannibal, at the Bismarck. You'll have some decent shots at the bow, but that's about it. You're only going to be able to do mediocre damage. In the meantime, being in the Bismarck, like we are today, our secondary battery can work over the Nagato, keep the Nagato on fire, hopefully, and we can take shots off at other enemy ships that are presenting us good broadsides or good shots, like the Bayern off in the distance there. The Bayern is giving us kind of a broadside, and it is much better shots on the Bayern than it is on the Nagato at this time. So just by keeping the Nagato on the bow like we are, we're really mitigating a whole bunch of damage that the Nagato can do. Now, on top of this, we do need to keep in mind we still do have support from our teams in the background, right? We can see those shots coming in, and this is helping us out a lot. So we do get the kill there on the Bayern, which is not too bad at all. Got ourselves another medal, a Confederate there as well, which isn't too bad. We continue to engage in the Nagato with our secondary battery. We see the New Mexico off in the distance. Oh, poor New Mexico. Why did you turn? So the New Mexico turns, gives us a nice broadside, and we're, immediately going to punish the player. So we get a few rounds in, don't do too much damage, but we get ourselves another medal, and now we're sitting on high caliber as well, so that's not too bad. Shots come in from the New Mexico, do very little damage indeed. You can see that our team has been working over this Nagato pretty well this entire time. There we go, Nagato is down, and we don't have to worry about that player anymore. Now we can start focusing on this New Mexico. New Mexico is a good battleship. She's really decent battleship at tier 6. What you don't want to do in New Mexico though is present broadsides close in to higher tier battleships, because as good as a New Mexico is at tier 6, it's not going to be as good as a Bismarck at tier 8. Now we do note that the New Mexico fired a full salvo at us, did a big chunk of our damage here, right? But it's just not going to be enough, because when it comes down to this sort of situation, right, tier 6 versus tier 8, the biggest difference here is going to be the caliber of the guns, the damage potential, and then as well the hit point pool, that pool of numbers that we have. It's just not going to go well. Plus the New Mexico doesn't really have great secondary battery, so there's that as well. Now we see the New Mexico return fire again, and that was close. That New Mexico almost got us, right? So kudos to that player. I mean, even though presenting the broadside and we're brawling it out and whatnot, he didn't, the player just didn't roll over and die. So, the New Mexico can still do things. It's just not going to go very well. We get the kill on the New Mexico, and I think that is our 6th kill, maybe? We have a lot of kills. I think it's our 6th kill. So that's not too bad at all. There's only 2 enemy ships remaining. No, it's our 7th kill. Yes, 7th kill. So there's only 2 enemy ships remaining now at this point in time. We've got a battleship, and we have the poor tier 6 aircraft carrier, the Independence. We can see, I mean, we saw some of the Independence planes come in, and some of the planes are able to actually get through and drop their ordnance, but on the whole, most of those planes will never make it back to the aircraft carrier. They just won't. Anyway, the Independence is coming around, out from cover. Maybe he's going for the ram, I don't know, not really that great of a plan. And you can see our secondary battery instantly starts engaging the old Independence here, and obviously we're going to start firing our main battery into the Independence as well. Shots are coming in as well from our allies. Our allies have managed to take down that last battleship, so the Independence is the last enemy ship remaining, and hopefully we'll be able to get the kill on this, because that'll give us 8 kills. And 8 kills is something pretty special. It doesn't happen often, at least for me it doesn't happen often. You know, I'm usually quite happy if I even manage to get a Kraken in a battle. I mean, that's good enough for me anyway, but 8 kills would be quite nice. You can see number of hits with our secondary battery. The Independence is charging right at us. Probably going for the ram, but it's just not going to work out for the player. We have our main battery coming online here, about to fire, but our secondary battery... No, our fire manages to finish off the Independence, and victory is ours, and yes, that is our 8th kill. So taking a look at the overall results here, we got ourselves a high caliber, dreadnought, secondary, or close quarters expert, devastating strike, the Kraken Unleashed, and Confederate, yes. So that's a whole crap ton. 7,000 experience, 408,000 credits earned, top of the team overall, obviously, with well over 2,200 base experience, which is not too bad at all. You can see our team. You know, we did have support here from the team. There was a few players there who at least managed to break the 1,000 XP mark as well. We can see how some of the damage spread out. Top of the list, obviously, is that poor Miyoko from right at the beginning. Keep in mind, again, Miyoko captains, do not sail in a straight line, especially at the beginning of the battle when you know there's battleships training on you and you don't see them yet. Yeah, don't do it. When all is said and done, we do end up walking away with 268,000 credits. Again, the 7,000 experience, we get a bunch of commander experience as well. And that was one hell of a battle. Anyway, folks, that'll just about do it for us here. My throat is barely holding on here, so I'm going to end it now. So as always, you know, leave any comments you have for me in the video comment section below. Love reading those and responding back to them. Hit the old like button if you liked today's video. Hit subscribe if you are not a subscriber. And of course, I do hope you enjoy the rest of your day.